Welcome to another episode of OG55. I got Mr. C. Moore, Duck, and the Italiano. Today we're talking all about Comcast quarter one earnings. We're going to talk about it, analyze it, break it down. Up next on OG50. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG55. Today we're talking about Comcast earnings. We're going to talk about it. We're going to mix it up, talk a little shop today, financial shop with Mr. C. Moore, Duck. Mr. Duck, welcome back on the show, brother. How you doing?
Hello. I'm doing wonderful. I actually just woke up from a nap because I work the graveyard shift. So now I'm doing pretty good, and I'm ready to nerd out with you guys and talk numbers.
Absolutely, brother. If you can let everybody home know where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, you can find me on X at Mr. C. Murdoch or MrDuck.social for all my other social media links.
There he is, Italiano, who also took a nap today. How you doing?
I did, yes. I took a nap not too long ago, and I don't have the graveyard shift.
So what's your excuse, George? Why are you taking naps? Come on, get to work, buddy. Where can everybody find you on social media, brother?
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You can also find me on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base on Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info. And also check out my new YouTube channel, Citrico Central, sister channel to Orange Grove 55.
There we go. All right, so we're going to dip into this Comcast earnings call, right? So we're going to start off because we do a lot of theme park stuff here. I want to dip into first and foremost this theme park situation. Okay, so it says here attendance and revenue down at Universal Parks ahead of Epic Universe launch. Now, George and I were at Universal Fan Fest last night, which was an absolute banger. We love Universal Parks, you know what I'm saying? So look, I mean, we're going to report the news as we see it. It doesn't look like this is good, but we'll talk about it. Maybe there's a silver lining here, but it says attendance and revenue was down at Universal's theme parks in the first quarter of 2025. Parent company Comcast has reported in its latest financial results. Despite the decreases, Universal is seeing, quote, strong demand, end quote, ahead of the launch of Epic Universe in Orlando on May 22. For the quarter ending March 31st, revenue for Universal theme parks dropped by 5.2% from the same period last year to 1.87 billion. Now, Seymour, I want to start with you, brother. So it dropped 5.2%, right? Now, Universal is blaming some of that on the LA fires. I guess they felt like that impacted their Hollywood park quite a bit. We do have Epic Universe opening. It's basically soft open now, but I mean, officially open next month, May 22. What do you think? What's going on here? Is this a bigger issue for the theme parks with Universal right now with these numbers, or is it just, hey, the LA fires and maybe people are waiting to book their trips because of Epic opening in a month? What say you, Mr. Duck?
There's a lot of things that can contribute to it. I've seen reports where international travel has been significantly lower in the U.S. to the point where even Canadians don't want to, like myself, don't want to travel. We just don't want to go. It's too expensive. There's a lot of tariff issues going on right now, and we don't want to. We just want to save our money and we do everything in-house instead of like in our country instead of going to Universal. For like even for Disney, right? It's not just a Universal problem, but even for like all attractions around the U.S., right? If you're, let's say, in Europe and you want to go to a theme park, why would you want to go to Florida or California when you can just go somewhere locally now and not worry about the travel? I think some people say it's not an issue. Some people say it is. I don't know. We have to wait till see Disney. So if there's a pattern, right? But this is not good news because, down 5.2% in revenue is not good, but adjusted EBITDA. And of course, they use adjusted to make the numbers look better, even though the numbers are already bad. They're down 32.1% in like adjusted EBITDA. It's supposed to be like their profits, but It's for only 429 million compared to Disney. And unfortunately, we don't have Disney's latest numbers; they haven't been out yet. But Disney's parks and experiences were like 3 billion in operating income. So you're going from Disney with 3 billion worldwide. They have a really good international presence, Disney. Unfortunately, unlike Comcast, Universal, I've stated many times that Disney worldwide is a bigger like parks and cruises. It has a bigger impact compared to Universal, where right now it's only 429 million. That's not a lot, and that's a big dip. We could say excuses like LA wildfires, but in the long run, it's been a pattern for Florida going down as well, and not just Hollywood, right? You see it every quarter. Universal parks have been going down and down and down, and we've seen Disney parks being resilient to it. It's been down a little bit too, but their international has been going up, where I don't see that in the case for Universal.
That is interesting. Yeah, because they did blame this on the wildfires. Now, I live in LA. I mean, I was evacuated. I had a mandatory evac order for my house, so I was right in the middle of all that stuff. But I mean, the fires were maybe I don't know, especially Universal, they were impacted for maybe a week. I mean, that, it wasn't like, I mean, unless they're factoring in people that were, I mean, I guess it's fair. I mean, just people who were displaced, those people couldn't go to the parks, obviously, because they're more worried about their homes and things like that. But I mean, I don't know. I just kind of felt like that was a weird excuse, sort of, to put out there like that. I you know what I'm saying, Seymour? Did it feel a little weird to you, or am I tripping on that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because like last quarter, the parks were down as well. Remember, and it went down really bad, and everyone online was saying the excuse was, "Oh, they're waiting for Epic Universe." And now they're saying, "Oh, this because of wildfires." Well, if you're consistently going down, you can't. And especially the LA wildfires that happened in like the beginning of January, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is 3 quarters worth. So you have January, February, and March numbers into this. So I don't know how a few days, even 2 weeks or even 3 weeks, could contribute to those 3 months. Going down 5.2% in revenue, which is the money coming in, and then the profitability of 32 point. I don't really see it because
I agree. I agree with you. It seems like a little bit like, oh, okay, we'll throw that out there because that sounds like a good excuse. I mean, from where we sit, that's kind of what it looks like. You know what I'm saying? And you're right. I mean, we get Disney's numbers. I think like May 7th or something, Seymour, if I'm not mistaken, like in a week or so.
Correct,
so so we'll see how those look. But I mean, honestly, I'm kind of curious because now, to be fair, Disneyland is in Orange County, so they didn't really get impacted by the fires too much. But we'll kind of see. I don't know. We'll see how those numbers kind of shake out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. What say you, Italiano? What do you think?
One thing I wanted to say though, it's like so like last quarter, right? We saw Universal numbers go down as well. Where Disney numbers, I actually just double checked, they were up. So like for domestic too, right? So they were up 12% domestic, and then they were up for revenue, and then up 28% domestic, while Universal was down. So we're seeing a trend for Universal going down every quarter, which is not good.
No, it's not. It's not. That is concerning. And like you said, we were hearing for a long time from people like, oh, it's just because of Epic Universe. Well, it's like, I don't know. We're getting kind of close to the opening now. Like, when is that going to kick in? You know what I'm saying? I mean, eventually, and actually, real quick before I get to George, this is kind of interesting. This was CNBC, and Seymour, you and I always talk about this with CNBC, and they're kind of like their shifty reporting. This was on April 22. This was just like 6 days ago, right? At the time of this recording, it says slowdown in tourists coming to the U.S. puts Disney theme park magic at risk. Disney's theme park magic? Parent company Comcast is opening a new park next month, but is Disney who's more at risk? I feel like Universal right now has the bigger risk. They just spent billions on a new park, and there's a slowdown. Am I tripping on that, Seymour, or is that a little bit of a I don't know?
No, I think if there's an issue with slowdown in the parks, it's usually corresponding with like the total like micro environment. So like if you see Florida slowing down with tourism, it's going to affect everyone, not just Disney. And I think to put the blame on that. Oh, slow down in tourism. It's going to put Disney at risk. It's going to put everyone in Florida at risk.
Exactly.
If in California, it's going to put everyone in California at risk, not just one company, which is, I don't know, it's very weird. I see CNBC always say that, oh, Disney is bad at this part, but only say something positive if it's positive for them, the company, right? They say Disney is really bad at streaming, but then when they need to sell Hulu to Disney, they said, oh, Hulu's the gold standard. But I thought you said Disney was bad at streaming.
Right. Yeah, it's bad at streaming until we want you to write us a check. Then Hulu's the best thing ever. Oh my God, exactly. It's amazing, Yeah, it's wild to me. And look, this is the thing. It's like we're just reporting like the facts on the ground here. We're gonna have a video come out very, very soon about FanFest, and that is very positive for Universal, not so good for Disney. You know what I'm saying? Because Disney's after-hour stuff doesn't even come close to what we experienced at FanFest. So I mean, we're really fair here, like in terms of like, we're gonna give shit to like where we see fit. Basically, we're gonna give shit to where we see fit. And it's like right now, it's like, how do you sugarcoat this, right? With these quarters going down, and all this stuff. And it's like, to me, it's like there is an issue here, and it's okay for there to be an issue, but let's acknowledge there's an issue, and then Universal can work to kind of fix that. But yeah, a lot of people that report on this stuff, including like CNBC and stuff, they just want to pretend like it's all about the Mouse House, and Universal is somehow like insulated from all these problems. It's like, come on, it's unrealistic. Mr. Italiano, what do you and your freshly grown beard think?
Well, I think it's typical for CNBC to even come up with an article like that because of the numbers, So in a way, they're trying to take the focus off of, we're down, 5.2%, but it's going to affect the magic of Disney, So it's like, and everyone has that mentality that when you see Disney in an article and it's like, oh, losing the magic or Disney's falling, everyone is like up in arms because they'll read it, they'll click on it because they're worried because Disney is such a high end branded company. It's a well-known name. So, CNBC will use that to their advantage to kind of sweep their, issues under the rug. But as far as with just the drop in general, I mean, as Seymour pointed out, there could be many factors to that. It could be, the tariff situation. It could be partial of the wildfires. It could just be a combination of things. But I do feel like it is interesting that a lot of the international travel is dipping for Universal. Now, that could be also a main reason why they're kind of playing to that of adding another park into the UK, because essentially that's going to end up taking a lot of the travelers to the Orlando area. So it's like it helps them in one way for the international part, but then it also can hurt them because they utilized on those international travelers, for the Orlando parks. Yeah. So, I mean, it's, and quite frankly, it's, again, it goes by, I feel like with the Disney name, I feel like just a lot of people are just picking and choosing of what they want to do right now. Travel has been very expensive abroad in general. And I think honestly, the companies are starting to see the drop.
Yeah, no, it is. It absolutely is. And you're right though, George. I mean, it is very much a selective sort of thing with a lot of fans or whatever out there, analysts, where it's like, people zero in on the Mouse House or, whatever Disney. It's like Universal kind of gets that pass. And it's like, I love Universal. George, like literally, we've been to Universal. I've been to Universal more times this year than Disney. No joke. You know what I'm saying? I love their products, but at the same time, I'm going to be honest with what I see, and these numbers aren't great. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of fans were kind of like, doing this whole thing that like years up to this Epic Universe where it's like, Disney's like in the shitter basically, like they're doomed. Like what is Disney going to do now that Epic Universe is opening? And it's like, well, Disney's going to be just fine, you guys. And it's clear, it's becoming more and more clear that Epic Universe is not going to be the Disney killer. Now, it will probably be a success, absolutely. I think a lot of people are going to go to this park, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's not going to destroy Disney's business. Like Seymour articulately brought up, where it's like Disney's business right now seems a little bit stronger.
I think that's how it's perceived too with Epic Universe from its conception, really. That Universal's coming back in a big way. They're going to give Disney a run for their money. Disney's going to be like kneeling to this new theme park. Which, again, I agree with you. I feel like it is going to be successful in its own way because it is a brand new theme park. It's the new toy, so to speak. It's the new park in the Orlando area in over 2 decades, so I mean that's a tremendous feat in itself. But from what I've seen in Epic Universe, a lot of good positive stuff. I'm going opening day. I can't wait to experience it. But I've noticed, for me anyways, there's a lot of great things in Universal as individual things. But I think as a whole, as a big package with a big red bow tied around it, I can't say that it's like the highest, greatest thing, that could ever possibly diminish the Disney parks.
Well, I think with Orlando, it's it's so different out there. Disney World, I think a lot of fans kind of forget that Disney World is way more than just parks. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like the parks are an element of it, but Disney World brings a whole different dynamic to this whole thing. It's much more of a vacation resort sort of like thing. You can boating, you got boating and all kinds of crazy stuff you can do there. You can literally probably spend a week there and not even do a theme park, where Universal Resort Orlando is a lot more like akin to like a Disneyland resort where it heavily depends on its theme park. So it's really like a much different animal. So when people say, well, Universal is going to take Walt Disney World down or it's going to really knock them down, that's why I've been saying for years, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Disney World is always going to be that major draw. You can't really, it's just hard. It's hard to substitute that. And like you said, George, do people really want to do, 3 and 4 days of that Universal experience? That's yet to be seen. You know what I'm saying? So while Epic might be a huge success, is it gonna kind of like spill over into more stays, longer stays, or is it going to be more a la carte where people just go to Epic and then go back to Disney? That is still yet to be seen. And it might be successful. Maybe families want to spend 3 days at Universal. I don't know. I have my doubts though, because of what you were saying. I think people like Universal. They love Universal, really. But do they want to spend days there like at Disney World? I think the jury is still out. So we'll kind of see. But Seymour, what are your thoughts? Oh, go ahead.
Really quick, before you go to Seymour, one more thing I just have to add to that. And I feel like Universal has a little bit of a journey to that. I feel like Epic Universe is not going to be enough because it is a single theme park. If Universal wants to get to the point of Disney where they want to encompass as like an entire vacation stay, they're definitely going to have to change and upgrade their 2 previous parks, because I feel like once then they do that and that's successful, then that would give travelers to say, hey, you know what? There's a bunch of new stuff at all 3 of these theme parks. Let's just stay, a couple more extra days. Let's stay on property. But I feel like just one theme park that's brand new, and then you have 2 their previous theme parks that have not had any really major updates, maybe a ride here or there, but no significant change. That's not enough to convince travelers to stay on your property for 5+ days, especially again of what we're talking about, because travel is so expensive. So people are gonna really be finicky of what they're picking and choosing.
Yeah, 100%. What say you, Seymour?
So a couple of things that I wanted to say first. I might have misspoke when I said domestic for Disney went up 12%. It was actually international. If I did say it, international went up 12% in revenue and 28% in operating income last quarter. And when I was looking at the numbers again, I realized that for the experience, the total experience, Disney makes around like 9.4 billion in revenue compared to Comcast, where they only make 1.8 billion in revenue. And I know it's not apples to apples comparison because it's not the latest quarter; it's the last quarter for Disney that we don't have it. But it shows you how small the business is overall for Comcast, where it's only 1.8 billion, and now they have to. Now I see why they have to push in and do the UK, because their cable business is struggling right now. What they do is put lots of price increases in order to prevent profitability to go down. But people have been canceling left, right, and center for that. Customer service hasn't been the best. It's hard to cancel if you wanted to cancel Comcast. And sometimes I even see people post their call recordings online, and they'll give them like credits to the point where it's like, how are you making money off of this? Because they don't want to lose you as a customer. Right. Because at the long run, keeping you as a customer is more profitable than losing you, because you're never going to go back. Once you leave Comcast, that's it. Because it's old school. Nobody's doing that. It's all about wireless and just having internet, and that's it. But they've been losing customers. But then, yeah. So it's like you said it before the recording. You said it's like a melting ice cube, and which scares me a bit, because Universal has to go and build that UK park, which will cut in some of the revenue in Florida and California for international travel. But then, because the park is not profitable yet, you're going to see a lot of profitability go down from them already. Before, it's already down 32%. Imagine what's going to happen when they have to start building it, and then before the money even comes in, that's why I'm a little bit scared that you might actually get to a point where their parks might be contributing a loss because of that.
And that's interesting, because we talked about it on many shows, Seymour, where the whole park explosion of growth with Comcast, like we were talking about how a lot of that is due to the fact that their core business is really like kind of fading away, right? So they have to offset that somehow. And the parks, they're bullish on the parks. But what happens when your thing that the parks, which you're using to offset your losses for the broadband cable stuff, what happens when the parks start to slip? Then what happens? I mean, that's a huge problem. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like, not a lot of people talk about that, but it's like, I mean, that's a big issue. And Universal makes a great theme park product, I mean, they really do, but it's like the numbers are the numbers. You can't, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead, Seymour.
No, I was going to say, yeah. And I said, it's, with Universal, it's unfortunate. Like I mentioned, it's a smaller business, so they have to expand quickly. And with businesses with Universal, like even when you look at Epic Universe, right? I'm not to say that Epic Universe is not a fine park. It's just that we have Super Nintendo World, which has already existed, like in California and Japan for a long time. So you're really only getting like one, like fourth or fifth, depending how you look at it, of the park already been seen. Right. And now they have to focus in the Europe with the UK. And you know how many years Disney took for their Paris park to it was a disaster at the beginning, if I remember correctly.
No, you remembered absolutely correctly. It was a disaster at the beginning, and it's been a long journey. I mean, I mean, even as of recently, I know Disney recently bought like their entire stake. So now they fully own it, I believe now, if I'm not mistaken, or very close to fully owning it. Before, it was like some Saudi prince that owned a lot of it and all kinds of stuff. But man, I'm telling you, this Paris park, which opened in 92, George, if I'm not mistaken, does it in Paris 92? You're talking about a park that's over 30 years old. And it's barely just now getting kind of on its feet again. But it's like, you're right, Seymour. Now, to be fair to Universal, I mean, I do think that Disney's presence in that area has sort of like paved the way a little bit now. So maybe Universal won't have as hard of a time, but it's still going to be tough, man. It's absolutely tough. And then on top of that, you have Epic, which is opening during really kind of turbulent economic times right now. And then with the president doing the whole tariff thing and all that stuff, and the economy is very uneasy. So even like the sure thing isn't even like a sure thing right now. And then you're going to start construction on this Paris thing, or this UK park. I'm sorry, this UK park. And you're right. Now you're going to have even you're probably going to operate at a loss, because now you're building a whole new park. So
and on top of that, they don't have the flywheel effect yet, like Disney has, where they have a lot of businesses that are doing well. And then if they have an off season of one business, they can rely on another business while they invest in that one. They don't currently have that, as we mentioned, right? The melting ice cube for their top business. And it's not just the theme parks they have to invest in. They're also investing in their streaming service, where it has been growing, but it's still unprofitable. And you're seeing, and if you look at the Nielsen numbers coming in from, for at least for the US, you're starting to see streaming services like Amazon Prime and Apple doing well, and they don't care about profitability because they have cash flows like crazy. They have like $50 billion coming in every quarter. They could stream. I saw a report saying that Apple's losing $3 billion a quarter for a quarter or a year. I forget which one it was, but for Apple TV Plus, I was like, well, that's a drop in the bucket for them. They don't care. What they care is about having you on the platform. So if they're using the service in the Apple ecosystem, they win. So they can destroy Disney and Comcast and all these other companies because they don't care about profitability for those segments. And if the competition gets destroyed, then they win, and then they can get that profitability afterwards. But it's a whole different issue. But I'm just saying that it's that Peacock is at the bottom of the list of Nielsen with the viewership. The top 3 is YouTube, Netflix, and Disney.
Yeah,
and you don't, and I see Peacock at the bottom, like, and I don't know how they're gonna fix it because they do have good original content. Like I like the TED TV series they have made. That's very unique and funny. I like that one. But like besides that, I don't know.
Yeah, no, they have some good stuff on there and some of the classic Universal stuff, but it's going to be interesting. And not a lot of people talk about Peacock though. You know what I'm saying?
And it's more of a US thing. And I think a little bit of the UK because of Sky. And I think they're providing Peacock now. There's a deal with that. But yeah, it's more a US thing. Like in Canada, I can't get Peacock. All the stuff that you get Universal usually just goes on Amazon Prime and Netflix in Canada. Wow, it's very odd. So like when we had Super Mario Brothers, it came out on Amazon Prime, and then it came out on Netflix a few months later, and it's like okay, because we don't have it.
That's bizarre to me that Canada can't get Peacock.
No, and in Canada we have a Canadian version of Max, which is basically it's Bell, right? A Canadian carrier where they made a deal with like Warner Brothers Discovery. So for like a few years in the future, so basically, come to our Canadian platform and you get the Canadian deal because the government likes Canadian owned properties. So if you come in here, you don't get the headaches like Disney Plus does and YouTube. There's like a whole political headache with taxes and everything with that. But yeah,
that is absolutely wild.
There's no Peacock in Canada. There is Paramount Plus, but nobody watches that in Canada either. We don't even get the full-fledged shows and movies that you guys get.
Well, you may not get Peacock, but you do have Ducks.
That's true. That's true. We prefer Ducks over Peacocks, absolutely. Here at OG, 100%. But George, now you and Abby, do you got what are you? Okay, you have Disney Plus, obviously.
Yes.
Netflix, yes. Even though you can never log in.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
and then
Abby has Netflix. Yeah.
Abby has Netflix. Okay. And then you guys don't have Peacock?
I do.
Oh, you do?
I have.
And you're a Bob Iger yes man. I think that we should change your status, bro, because that doesn't seem right.
Yeah, I have a whole package. I have Disney Plus. I have Peacock. I have Paramount Plus. I have Max. I have Hulu. Yeah.
Wow.
So basically, cable.
Yeah, basically.
There you go. He's got cable. Exactly. Now, but okay. So Peacock. I mean, are you a fan, or do you like it, or what are your thoughts on it?
Here's the funny things with the streaming services. Like, other than really, and this is where I go back to being my Bob Iger yes man. Other than Disney Plus, I more so have the other streaming services, kind of like, because there's only like certain things on each of them that I like, but I'm willing to pay for it, that I can enjoy it like a month. Like there's certain things on Paramount Plus that I can't get on Peacock. There's certain things of Peacock I can't get on Max. So that's more so the main reason why I have like so many streaming services, is because there's not one streaming service that has everything that I want to watch. And
it's what Seymour. Yes, cable basically. It's cable.
But I do have the triple bundle of Disney Plus, Hulu, and Max.
Okay. Yeah,
and apparently that bundle's doing really good to the point where it's doing better than Netflix in terms of churn. That's what
That's
was
interesting.
reported.
That's very, very interesting. So that's a deal. That's kind of a partnership between like Disney and WB Discovery, Seymour, that bundle.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like it's kind of like the Hulu and Disney Plus, but then they partnered with Warner Brothers Discovery. You get all three. I think that's good because it's choice, right? You're not forced into it. You can buy it if you want to.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. I feel like Disney and Warner Brothers has a decent relationship. I feel like they do a lot of partnering. I don't know. Am I tripping on that, Seymour?
No, I think even to an extent Paramount as well because they know that the competition is big tech, and I would categorize Netflix as big tech. Um, so their competition is Netflix, YouTube, parent company Alphabet, Google, and then you have Apple and Amazon with Amazon Prime. Those companies they have a lot of cash coming in that they can destroy, the legacy media companies like Comcast, uh, Disney, and Paramount, right, and Warner Brothers, especially Warner Brothers and Paramount, where they don't have anything outside of media as much as Comcast and Disney, so they're more reliant on the content they make. So they're willing to work with companies like Disney, even doing sports. They I forget which one it was called, but they're doing it on ESPN now instead of their own TSN network.
Okay, interesting. Now, Seymour, I want to ask you a question. So I dropped a video today. I was myself, Mr. Webba, and Matthew Murr, friend of the channel, Matthew Murr. And the topic actually was a great topic. It was Matthew's member topic, and he asked us like, if you can make the Walt Disney Company leaner, to better navigate, like rough economic waters, what would you offload? So we did that discussion, and we kind of went through the whole thing about maybe some of the Fox stuff, maybe ABC, this, that, and the other. Well, I'm curious. I know you weren't on that video, but what are your thoughts on that? Like, is Disney lean enough right now, or is there more fat that they can cut?
They have been cutting, and I think it will get to the point where they will have to cut linear out of the equation. And I think the biggest hitters for Disney to cut were going to be linear in India because those were the most. India was the most expensive, and thankfully they have now a partnership with Reliance Industry and Viacom 18. So now the cost is going to go significantly down, but still have that ownership of India, which is good, right? And I think that was the biggest issue because they were spending like over $5 billion to get the rights for cricket, and they're getting like no return because India, if you live in India, everything's cheap there, including streaming services. You're paying like $1 or $2 a month for a streaming service.
Right.
Disney's not getting that money. I think Disney makes like 25 cents per user there. It's not a lot of money they're making, and they have to spend $5 billion on just crickets, and that's why the reason the biggest loss for their streaming service is because they lost cricket. But now, ironically, because of the partnership, they gain back all that rights. So it's going to be a huge hit for Disney, like in success wise because of that. And now they're going to get more leaner with profitability. And even Bob Iger said it in there when he came back that we need to focus on quality versus quantity. So they've been cutting back on streaming and focus on quality, which is what this is what I thought about Disney Plus when it first came out. It's like, oh, you'll get so much content on Netflix, but you get that good content, the specialized content, the niche for Disney.
Right.
And I think they lost track of that when Bob Chapek came in and they were focusing too much on boosting the numbers, and they lost track on making that content, the quality content. So I think they're moving in the right path. There's still some, legacy stuff that's still in the making from Bob Chapek's. So you might see some show with the lack of quality still in the making, but they're trying their best, and I think it's working because now they're profitable, and they're the third biggest streaming company in North America. Second, if you don't count YouTube, right? They're doing pretty good, but I think it's going to be legacy. And they already did India. That was my biggest concern at the beginning, but they're doing India now. But I think it's legacy linear services that will have to cut down, and I think they're pushing that when their sports package, ESPN, their full streaming one, comes out this year. And I think you're going to see a major shift.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, there's going to be shifts in that. I would agree with you. I think that's likely where that stuff is going to come from. Those cuts,
And to go full circle, I think that's going to be a big hit. I mean, like an issue. I keep saying hit as like a positive and negative thing. I think this is going to be an issue for Comcast Universal because if Disney moves to a full streaming platform, right? Who wants to go sign up for old legacy linear for sports when you can just go to Disney,
right,
and get it all there?
No, 100%, 100%.
Because I think sports is the reason why people sign up for cable and all that, or IPTV, because it's the only thing that's keeping them to go full on streaming. But if you can go full on streaming with Disney, especially when you can do the bundle, right? You could do ESPN, Hulu, and Disney Plus. Then it's like, why do I want to sign up for anything else?
Yeah, exactly. No, I think you're right though on that, Seymour. I think a lot of people, I think sports are really keeping that thing afloat. That ship afloat. I think, once that moves over, there's not much reason to have your cable. It's not much, and that is harder on Comcast Universal.
And I know I've seen some people online on X saying that they should remove some of the Fox stuff. They should remove some of the sports stuff. I was like, no, you don't want to do that because I see Disney maturing as a company for entertainment for all. And to go forward, especially with shareholders, right? If you want growth and if you're just going to focus on one area of the family instead of the overall family, I don't think it's going to work out, which is why I think when you have sports, right, you have like the adults watching it, but then you also have Disney content that the kids can watch, but then also you have general entertainment that everyone can watch. It's like it intertwines and everyone is happy. And I think this is a good approach. And I know a lot of people are saying that, oh, Disney, why are you putting more mature content? I'm okay with that. And Disney has put in parental controls on the platform. They put in the security for it.
Right.
When they put in that mature content, the first thing you get in is like, hey, look, we added more mature content. Put a pin on the profile for your kids not to go in. And also you can put each profile for what content they can view. They did it right from the beginning, but then people still have issues saying, why are you offering it? Where are you going to go? There's no other alternatives. Are you going to go to Netflix? Netflix has mature content as well. Heck, Netflix has more diverse woke content than Disney, but nobody wants to talk about that. But then what? You're going to go to Peacock? What kids' content is there? Like
no, 100%, man, 100%. I've been saying the same thing for a long time now, Seymour. Like with the adult content on Disney Plus, we saw a similar backlash with the Michael Eisner era, because Michael Eisner had the audacity to sort of get Disney into the more adult film thing. And I don't mean adult film like that, adult film, but I mean like, more like, like Splash, remember Touchstone Splash, like those Touchstone movies and things like that, right? Where it wasn't just like G and PG films, they were getting into some R-rated content and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Hot Chick wasn't that great, but
yeah, right. Yeah, I know. Yeah, and it's like Disney needs to, in order to survive, you need to have Disney being able to have a variety of stuff, right? Now, when Michael Eisner did all that, it didn't destroy the Disney brand or the Disney image. Disney was still seen as a family company. You know what I'm saying? And people say, well, that's because, they created these other studios like Touchstone and Hollywood Pictures. Yes. And now we have Hulu. It's a whole different brand. It's not Disney. It's Hulu. You know what I'm saying? So it's essentially the same kind of mindset where Disney can make money off of the more mature content, but it's under, like you said, that parental control, and it's really different branding because it's through that Hulu kind of IP. I'm fine with that, and parents have to do the parenting thing. Correct. You got to go into your kids' Disney Plus and set the parental controls and be a parent. It's not up to Disney to parent your kids.
And I don't mind that with the more mature content. And I'll give you an example where I find where if Disney didn't do this, everything would be, a lot of people are afraid that they would Disneyfy some of their, favorite shows or their favorite IPs from Disney when they buy Star Wars or Marvel, right? So they were scared for Deadpool. Like, oh my God, they're going to make it rated PG and they're not going to do any of this, right?
Right.
And I'll give you an example. Touchstone, they were in charge of Boy Meets World. and Boy Meets World was a little bit more mature than your usual kids content, right? They talked about sex, drugs, alcohol, but then when Girl Meets World came out, it was Disney-fied and it was awful to the point where it's like, you watched the show because you were a kid and you want to understand, growing up and these things that happen in a kid's life. But they Disneyfied it to the point where kissing was even an issue. I was like, really? But in Boy Meets World, they didn't have that issue because they were under the Touchstone, right? Pictures brand, and they were able to tell it how it is. And it was very relatable to me when I was a kid watching Boy Meets World because it was happening to me when I was a kid. But then when I'm watching Girl Meets World, it's like, not really. And it kind of lost touch why Boy Meets World was great. And and when it's the worst thing about the whole show, like, oh my God, you kissed somebody, and then that's it. I'm not saying the actors didn't do well. They did all well, but it's just, you can tell when it was only on a Disney, it was a Disney show on a Disney channel, right? Where compared to before. And I think that's where you can see some of these great things with this company, where you can blend the lines, where you can have a Disney show a little bit more mature, but it could be on the Hulu side, right? Yeah, there was a show that was canceled, Lizzie McGuire, right? They thought it was a little bit too mature when they first came out. Like when it was in production, they're like, oh no, this is too mature for a Disney show. But now, if they made that in Hulu, I don't think that would have been a problem because we all grown up.
Yes, the Lizzie McGuire audience. Yes, 100%. The Lizzie McGuire, the iCarly audiences have grown up with the characters. Yeah. So
this was a real shame with the Lizzie McGuire situation, because Hilary Duff and the company just could not come to terms of on a creative aspect, and they had a script basically set in place. All the actors that were portraying reprising their roles, they had the set, they were all ready, and it's just a shame that not even one episode got filmed.
Yeah, no, it was a whole big thing. I think what's her name? Hilary Duff. She was pretty upset over that whole situation, if I remember correctly, right?
Yes. Yeah, because she was executive producer of it as well. Yeah.
It's crazy to me.
Fans were wanting that for the longest time, right? And they were happy that it was going to be a little bit more adult-like because they grew up, right? And I don't see any backlash when iCarly did it and they talk about sex and alcohol and they're adults now. I don't see any backlash. That was a kid's show, but now it's more, targeted to adults.
And then what would you wanted the storyline to progress with time? You're not going to have a 40-some-year-old Lizzie McGuire saying, "Oh my gosh, my best friend saw my diary." Oh my gosh, oh woe is me. No, she grew up. Those pre-adolescent teenage years are over.
Right. It's a coming of age thing. Yeah, exactly. You grow up and you're exactly. And the audience that watched her in 2005 or whatever it was, 20 years ago, they're like you said, George, they're in their 30s and 40s now.
2001.
2001. Exactly. So those kids now are late 30s, probably, maybe even early 40s. So because here's the thing, you're tapping into the nostalgia machine by doing another Lizzie McGuire show. So just by doing another Lizzie McGuire, you're kind of wanting to grab the old fans, I'm assuming, right? And if you're grabbing the old fans, well, those old fans aren't 14 anymore. So the show should mature with the fans. The fact that Disney couldn't see that is kind of ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we'll see.
It's kind of ridiculous that we got Zoe 102, but not Lizzie McGuire reboot. Zoe 102 was terrible. That movie should have not been made.
I didn't even know that was a thing. That's
Zoe 101 was horrible.
Yeah.
That's crazy, bro. That's wild. But here's the thing too, right? There's two films that used to be Touchstone Pictures, right? Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Nightmare Before Christmas. And both of those movies were too edgy for the Disney brand. That's why Michael Eisner at that time, he put it under Touchstone. But now if you were to go get those movies on a Blu-ray or something, they say Walt Disney Pictures on them, right? And it's times change, things evolve, number one. But number two, Who Framed Roger Rabbit is a masterpiece of a film. a freaking masterpiece. I don't even like meta stuff, but the way that movie handled it was absolute brilliance, right? You miss out on a lot of cool creative opportunities when you pigeonhole yourself in the G-rated slot all the time. So I'm glad Disney can branch out a little bit, you know what I'm saying, and kind of do things that are different, you know. Like I said, Nightmare Before Christmas is another one that was too edgy for Disney, but now it's like it's a beloved Disney IP that they utilize in the parks all the time for the Haunted Mansion and all that. So interesting conversation, fellas. Mr. Duck, it's always an honor having you on the show, brother. Where can everybody find you on social media, Mr. Duck?
Yeah, you can find me on X at Mr. Seymour Duck or at Mr. Duck.social for all my other social media links.
There he is. And we got Mr. Italiano in the house. Where can everybody find you, George, on social media, sir?
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You can also find me on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base on Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info. And also check out my new YouTube channel, Citrico Central, sister channel to Orange Grove 55.
Yes, sir. And we actually did a great bar chat from there last night. That's up right now on the channel, man. We also have a great vlog coming to you. We have Mr. Theme Park Wizard on that vlog. Wizard is in the house. We had Mondo, a little bit of Mondo in there from Five Fires, and of course myself, OG55. But we went through Universal Fan Fest, and we had the time of our lives. I'm telling you, we're gonna have a video on Fan Fest. It is top notch in terms of these after hours events, and yes, even better than Disney. It was incredible, and kudos to Universal for this event because it was just out of control good. But check out the vlog on Georgia's channel very soon, and also we're gonna be covering here on OG55 a whole lot. We have a lot to discuss with that. Thank you so much for watching this episode of OG55, and until next time, see you later.
Thank you for watching OG55. If you aren't already, consider becoming a member today.